Shannon. Now this is podcasting.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Work Hard. My name is Ethan. With me is my co-host, Jason.
Good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening to you.
Yes, maybe you're on your commute. Maybe you're sitting at your desk. Maybe you're working out.
Maybe you're trying to fall asleep to the sultry, calming sounds of Work Hard's voice.
Ah!
Oh, yeah.
Are you asleep? Hope you guys had a good week. We had a good 30 minutes. That's how long it's been since the last episode for us.
And we're going to mention it every time.
Every single time. Because Jason and I are not actually good at this. So we have to fill our time somehow.
We've got an hour. What do we do?
Yes. What do we do?
Structured rambling.
Structured rambling. Do we want to do the Between the Couch Cushions first?
No, let's do
Okay.
Let's keep our...
We're going to talk about our intro today. Our intro topic is accents. And I wrote something. I was doing a bit for stand-up. I was doing some writing for stand-up, and I wrote a couple jokes.
I think our levels... Did we ever change the levels?
Oh, we did. Oh, yeah. I switched our. Yeah.
Okay. If you switch them, that's fine. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay.
You wrote a little bit of stand-up about accents.
Yes. I wrote a little bit of stand-up about accents. And I don't know how to do. I don't know what's not cringe. Like, is it not cringe to just? You think it's cringe to just read this?
Without the delivery, I don't know. Do you want to try and do it?
I guess
like
I'll just
you
try
would
to read
stand up.
Yeah. I'll just read it. That's fine. I wrote the American accent is what you get when you have work to do. Okay, when you're a busy person, you speak like an American. The Italians sound like that because they're always on leisurely strolls, sucking on acorns, drinking bad wine. And the French, the French had like 2 good runs, invented gold leaf, and then said, that ought to do it. Let's spend the next 150 years optimizing pedophilia. There are no other cool accents outside of American. They are all silly. People think it's Eastern European accent. Incorrect. You've seen those guys in the UFC. They get in the ring, pop some guy's head like a fruit, and then hop on the mic trying to speak English, going A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's an entire part of the earth that just figured out how to make their own wheels. They are not smart people. And I stand by that, dude. That's the case. I hate foreign accents.
Even Australians?
Okay. I'll take that back. I do like Australian accents, but they're still silly. They're not cool.
I still think I wouldn't say silly. There's some pretty badass Australians.
There are some badass Australians, but then they open
when you
their
get
mouths.
A country that was populated by criminals.
Yes,
there's some tough meats there.
There's their
heritage. I would say their heritage is a little akin to ours in that they were they rebelled in some way.
Yeah,
the Americans left. We are descended from people who were not content with the way things were. And in some way, the Australians were also not content with the way things were.
Yeah.
Because they were expelled.
Yeah.
I mean, we chose to leave, and they were forced.
Yeah. I don't remember where this is from. You guys are gonna have to look this up. But I think that this is true. So I think that this is like a study or something that was done that they trace the Australian accent to like try to figure out like the etymology of it or whatever.
Okay.
And they decided it was like some social worker or whatever, some academic somewhere, and they decided that the reason Australians sound like that is because the early Australians were raised by British parents, English people who were hammered drunk all the time.
Oh, no.
And so they developed that accent from how drunk everyone was.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is very funny. I hope that that's true. I hope that that's true.
I think it's interesting to see, America doesn't have one accent.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I think coming from the Northwest, we believe we are the American accent.
Yeah.
Because we speak, I thought I heard a study once saying that basically the Northwest accent or the West Coast accent, maybe not West Coast because there's like Valley Girl in Southern California that's not the same. But it's the most precisely spoken enunciation and pronunciation of English, not enunciation, but pronunciation of English as it ought to be.
Yeah.
Which is an odd thing to say coming from England, where
where
it's entirely different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think that really holds water.
I think just the American accent is however you and I sound.
But it's made more straightforward.
Yeah.
It's the bread and butter English.
Yeah. Well,
I view it.
I'll tell you this: when I have to speak to an Indian on the phone, I can't understand them, but they can understand me just fine.
Well, see, I spent time in, oddly, Eastern Europe, which you just complimented.
Yes. Those people have hair on their foreheads. They're retarded.
Not the ones I associated with. I'll say that.
Yeah, okay.
Not
my friends. My friends are all smart.
There was one conversation I had. There was a particular bar I hung out at.
Yeah.
Maybe I mentioned this. Cool bar, tiny little place. The bar itself was actually half the size of this room.
Oh, that's so sick.
It was great.
That's awesome.
I found the hole in the wall and got to know all the bartender, the gals there, the bartenders.
So sick.
And the owner hung out there half the time.
Excellent.
Older guy.
Excellent.
The name of the bar was Jethro's, and I hope some of my Macedonian friends listen to this podcast because they might know about Jethro's.
Shout out Jethro's.
Shout out to Jethro's as the greatest little pub.
Shouts out.
And to all my Macedonian friends back there, y'all were real cool and welcoming. I appreciate you.
Shouts
have good
out.
memories from y'all. They called the clubs discotheques.
The discotheque.
The discotheque, yeah. But anyway, so there was... Obviously, everyone I hung out with spoke English.
Right.
Some to greater degrees than others. And there was one person, I don't remember who it was, but we had a conversation once, and I asked... Because I think I had to repronounce things a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I started imitating the Macedonian accent. I was like, is it easier for me, easier for you to understand if I speak like this?
Yeah.
And they're like, a little bit. I was like, okay.
That's pretty funny, dude.
And my uncle and aunt thought it was really funny because when Windows Vista came out, I hadn't heard it spoken, so I called it Windows Vista.
Nice.
And they were like, you're just pronouncing it like a Macedonian would pronounce it. You're using Eastern European pronunciation.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
My wife went to Uganda for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And they took a long lady who had like a deep Southern, I don't know if she was from Georgia or something.
Yeah.
But she had a Georgian accent, deep Southern accent. And my wife speaks just like I do.
Yeah.
In proper English.
Yeah.
And the Ugandans had the hardest time understanding like my father-in-law and my wife.
Really?
Yeah. But they could understand the Georgian accent perfectly. They're like, why don't you speak like she does?
That's awesome.
I was like, really? The Southern accent, that's the one you guys can understand easily? Like, you guys can hardly speak English that's understandable, and yet you're critiquing a Northwesterner's pronunciation.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Very funny.
I like wherever I think Bernie Mac's from Chicago. So like Midwest black people, that accent, I love that accent.
Yeah.
That's great. Bernie Mac's maybe the funniest comedian of all time.
Bernie Mac, isn't he dead?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Sad.
They had to kill him.
I like him from Ocean's 11.
Oh my goodness, dude.
So great.
Good.
So great.
Good. Dude, he's got this bit about
Ocean's 11 is the only good Ocean's movie. I'm going to say that now.
Yeah. What?
12 and 13 went downhill.
Come on, dude.
I watched 12 recently, and it's a rehash of it's okay. 11 was way better.
11's yes. 11 is
it was fresh.
It's the best one.
So it's fresh.
Right.
Then my point is when you try and do the same thing and do it again, yeah, it's fun to a degree. And I was riding that high when the Ocean's movies came out. Yeah, another Ocean's movie.
Yeah.
But then going back to watch it, I was like,
really?
Yeah.
I just like it. I just like that. I like that. I'm glad they ran it back 2 more times.
Have you seen that other heist movie that they did? Same director or writer, I think. Now I'm going to forget the name of the movie.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, never mind. Wasn't that good.
Damn.
Moving on.
Bernie Mac, though?
Bernie Mac.
The man.
Yeah. I don't know much aside from that, I'm afraid.
You got to watch his Kings of Comedy stuff, bro. He's got he's first of all, Bernie Mac was actually a really good person. Married the same woman forever.
Good for that guy.
Kids. His sister was a drug addict, and her kids got taken by CPS, and he adopted them.
Good for that guy.
in his like 50s.
Wow.
They were little kids.
Oh my goodness.
And he's got this dude. He's got
no
one
wonder
of the
he
most,
died early.
Yeah, one of the one of the most amazing jokes ever. He's talking about his sister's kids, about how he adopted them on stage, and he's talking about what he's like. Man, there's a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and that 2-year-old is the devil. She know exactly what she's doing. She come in here, she get the 5-year-old all worked up, come downstairs. Hey, go get some cookies. Go get some cookies from downstairs. He go downstairs. She come up. I said, "What you doing?" And he said, "I'm gonna get some milk and cookies." First of all, he a faggot. What 5-year-old talk like that? He's like, "I tell you how it is. I ain't gonna bullshit you around here. No, the little boy's a sissy, like on Good Times. Michael." It's so good, dude. Get some milk and cookies. Then I'm gonna stop him and tell him, "You go back upstairs 4 a.m. Go back upstairs. You ain't getting no milk and cookies." He gonna go up there and say to her, she gonna say, "Where the milk and cookies?" He gonna go, "Him downstairs. Like I ain't got no name." Who him? So good, dude. He's talking about, and I can tell this joke because he's talking in the context of marriage. So he's talking about having sex with his wife, and he's like, "Oh, y'all be out here fucking for." Mark this, come and see the F word, so I'll bleep it out. "Y'all be out here fucking for 45 minutes. That's crazy. That's too long. 3 minutes. That's how long you get me for. 3 minutes. And I'm going to get mine, so you better get yours. I'm going to get mine." And he's like, and the girl, and he's like, and my wife say, "I'm going to go find me a young nigga who could go get him, bitch. Go find him. I'll stand in the corner and watch." So good, dude. So good. "I'm going to get mine. Good stuff. I'm going to find me a young nigga who can do, go get him, bitch." So funny, bro. So funny. The man.
Oh,
Great accent, too.
that reminds me of when you bring your personal life into the spotlight like that.
Yeah.
Like last episode, talking about family stuff a bit.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my wife last night, sometime during this week, last couple of days.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is going on the podcast." And it reminded me of Ray Romano. I read an interview of Ray Romano back when Everybody Loves Raymond was going.
Yeah.
And he was saying how, of course, he wrote from personal inspiration, as you have to do. You can't just make up all that stuff out of thin air and make it relatable.
Yeah.
And I think at one point his wife would say sometime after something would happen, she's like, "I better not see this on the show." So hear that, both of you Emilys.
Yeah.
Make sure that
Watch yourself.
Otherwise it's coming on.
Yeah.
It's getting on Work Hard.
Dude, Bernie Mac's got this like legendary set where they have this they're having this, it wasn't a Kings of Comedy tour thing, but it was like a black comedians in New York festival, and the lore is that all these comedians were going up and just getting savaged by the crowd, and the crowd was like not arms folded, not happy.
Oh wow.
Heckling everybody, and he came out, people are getting booed off stage and stuff. It's going bad.
Yeah.
And then he comes out, swaggers out, comes out, and everybody's like, listen, what? He goes, "Y'all don't understand. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers." And it's like, "Y'all don't understand." And like keeps hitting them with that, says it over and over again until they start like clapping and people start laughing.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I love sex, and I'm big boned. I'm blessed. I put my pants down, this whole room get dark." It's so good, dude. So good. People start, they're like standing up, clapping, like loving
ecstatic,
it. Yeah.
He won that crowd back.
Oh yeah. Saved the show.
That's like a Bill Burr thing too. It's like when the room pulls back, the trick in stand-up comedy is you got to acknowledge it.
Right.
You have to take that head on.
Right.
Otherwise, if you just try and come up with more jokes or shift or whatever, if you don't address the discomfort in the crowd, you're done.
You're done. Yeah, I did that to those lesbians and when I did stand up.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh.
I pointed at them and said, "You're gonna laugh," and I got them. I made them laugh. Yeah. So accents, man. Bernie Mac's accent is legendary, epic. Patrice O'Neill, another legendary, epic black guy from Chicago or like New York or something.
Yeah.
Great accent.
The Boston accent.
Oh, dude, it's so funny. Yeah, you know any Patrice O'Neill stuff?
No.
Oh my god, dude. Men, women, listen, this is what you got to know. Men want to be alone, but we don't want to be by ourselves. You can be we want you somewhere, just not in front of me trying to be my friend. You can be around the corner. You want to be around the corner, that's fine. Just don't come down here while I'm watching baseball. What you doing, watching baseball?
Oh, that I have seen that bit.
So
Isn't
good.
that better? Isn't that better?
Isn't that better?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get, what are you doing?
Get you a dry sandwich
Yeah, dry
with
twigs.
no mayonnaise.
Yeah, twigs. Yeah. Hot. Wrapped up in a hot vine. Can't hear the TV. Can't see the TV.
I'm gonna wrap my legs around you.
Isn't that better? I showed Emily that. She did not like it. Because she's very self-conscious about like, bothering me. So
I showed my wife that too. I think she got it. She's like, "How true is this?"
Very.
Yeah. I was like, "No, baby, I'm not like cuddling."
I love you. Yeah. Yeah, that's very funny. Men want to be alone, but we don't want to be by ourselves. It's good. It's great.
All right.
Yes.
So moving on to recommendations. It's
Between
the segment known as Between the Couch Cushions. The stuff you find when you slip your hand down there and go, "What?
Where did
How
this
long
come
has
from?
this been there?"
I forgot about this. This is going to be great. Let's watch this tonight.
A hairy lollipop.
Gross.
That is a reference to the Arthur animated show.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Arthur goes searching for coins or something, finds an old lollipop covered with hair, and just pops it in his mouth, saying,
Yummy.
"I wonder where that went."
Yummy.
So what's your recommendation?
My
this
recommendation is The Killer. It's a movie directed by the legendary director John Woo. All of his stuff is so sick. I think it was made in the 80s. It might have been made... It might be the 90s. It might be the very early 90s, but I'm pretty sure it's from the 80s.
Okay.
John Woo is a Chinese director, and the movie is Chinese. I don't remember if it's in Chinese or if it's in English. I don't remember, but it's very good. The main character is played by the guy that played the Asian captain in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
He's young, it's like 40 years ago. So he's a good looking guy, great haircut. There's like one of the greatest shots of all time.
Haircuts like only the handsome Chinese folks can get.
Yes. Yeah.
Only their hair does that.
Yeah. It's a great movie. Do not watch it with your kids.
Not a family rec.
Not a family recommendation.
All right.
Great movie though.
Asterisk. Not a family movie.
Not a family movie. It does have a somewhat tragic ending, but it's very good. That's my recommendation.
Cool. Well, that leads, I'll say my recommendation, but the whole tragic ending kind of leads a little bit into our main topic.
Yeah.
All right. So my recommendation is a family movie. It is the animated movie Hoodwinked, which if you were to look at the cover, I would dismiss it as a piece of trash.
Yeah. I was surprised when you said Hoodwinked.
Have you seen it?
It was a long time ago.
Okay, you were surprised. You're like, it was good?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? I was trying to remember it, but yeah, I don't remember anything from it.
It's a fun premise. It's the story of Little Red Riding Hood, but it is told from the point of view of all the different characters who are being interviewed after a crime.
Okay, yeah.
So they tell the same story by Little Red Riding Hood's perspective and by the wolf's perspective and by the woodsman's perspective, and they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
It's very funny, as far as I can recall, very clean. It's a sleeper.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than it looks. You don't go to it for the animation. It was early animation. It was a low budget thing. They obviously couldn't do very much. It's very clunky.
Yeah.
But it's charming in that way, and has some good voice talent too. Patrick Warburton plays the wolf, who's an investigative reporter.
I'm trying to. Oh,
Patrick
yeah.
Warburton.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
He voices Kronk in the The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes. Yes, it's starting to come back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to get that fixed.
That's pretty good. Dude.
Just has I love Patrick Warburton's voice.
Yeah.
If my voice were just an octave lower, I could do it better.
Yeah. He
I think it would have turned out better.
The sound design, I guess, is what you would call it. Maybe sounds. I don't know. in John Woo movies is amazing. That's one of the greatest things about the movie The Killer.
The music or
the sound, like
Okay.
the actual sound effects and stuff in the movie
okay.
are like the guns sound so sick.
Okay.
And the he edits in clicking of people's feet when they walk.
Oh, okay.
So there's this extremely satisfying.
There's like crisp accentuation of small sounds.
Yes.
To bring you into it.
Yes.
Very enveloping.
So yes, so
Nice.
good, man. So
That
good.
reminds me of there was some movie where a guy's walking down a long hallway quickly to deliver news to like breaking news to, I can't remember what the movie is, but that it reminds me of that because it's a silent hallway. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any music. It's just click, 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 click of you can hear his pace.
Right.
He's obviously in a hurry, but he's not running because he's dignified enough.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's bad news.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a lot to that,
Yeah, there is.
That's art.
Yeah, that's art.
which I think brings us. So there we go. 2 movie recommendations for you. One, a family movie. One, not so much.
Yep, that's a date night movie for sure.
But hey, that brings us to our main topic. Let's cue the intro there.
Cue the intro, guys. Welcome to the main topic. Hello. We have now transferred. We should put some music to that intro, I think, because it's kind of hard to tell that it's like we're editing it in. It just sounds like you're just saying it.
I haven't heard it yet, except the first time we recorded it.
The topic of today's discussion is bad art, I guess is what we would call that. There are two facets to this, two layers. The first one is I've got a real bone to pick with okay, Abigail's trying to fall asleep, so I can't scream. There are 2 issues that I have. What am I, dude? I'm in a shambles. I have an issue with movies and writing in general that is that's bad, obviously. Subpar. And there are a lot of different ways, because there's so much bad writing right now, you get to see a lot of the ways that people try to compensate for bad writing by doing things like having the characters bicker all the time, stuff like that.
Having actresses take their tops off.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, if we just add more nudity,
Right.
people will come watch it.
Right. Which is unfortunately true. But the way I want to harp on today is writing into your stories excess or unnecessary darkness. So having things like sensationalizing your story with graphic content, or having sad endings for no reason, or being unnecessarily grotesque. It's not. That's a race to the bottom, is what that is. It is a race to see who can be the most debased, as a way to capture, people's attention in an evil way. And like a good example is like The Walking Dead. There's this scene in The Walking Dead where one of the bad guys, the one with the baseball bat and the leather jacket, beats one of the main characters to death with a bat.
I heard about that. Haven't seen it.
Yeah. Extremely graphic. He's I won't describe it too much because it's so bad I don't want to repeat it, but it's heart-wrenching because the main character's wife is there and she's just like watching helplessly. And it's just this like depiction of darkness that doesn't need, it's not necessary.
It didn't serve a purpose.
Yeah, served no purpose other than to be so sensational.
Gratuitous.
Yeah, gratuitous.
Because
And there's
the show was dying.
yeah, I don't know why. I think they're just evil people, right? Evil stuff.
Well, I just mean that's where they turn to. You're out of ideas.
Right,
is
exactly.
My point.
Right, yeah. You're out of ideas. Yeah, you're a bad writer that's out of ideas. So you
And
just
is unwilling to end the show.
yeah. So my mom was a CPS worker right after before I was. That's what she did before I was born. And she worked with kids a lot, and worked with child therapists a lot. One of her friends was a child therapist, and her friend told her about how these parents had let their very young child, like 5 or 6 years old, they'd let him watch the movie Jeepers Creepers, which is an incredibly graphic horror movie. And he kept watching it over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And so they brought him to a therapist.
Right.
To try to figure out what was going on. And she told them that he was watching it over and over and over again because he was trying to see if it would end differently.
Just hoping for something different. Huh?
Yeah, something different to happen. And that's what's happening to you when you watch that crap. Is like you are traumatizing yourself. That's what it is. It's the same. It's like you can't look away from something that you see as threatening to you, because if you look away from it, it's more like there's a higher risk that it's going to get you. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to stare at it. You're subconsciously you need to look at it to make sure it doesn't hurt you. It doesn't come sprinting at you or whatever. And so that's the element that bad writers are hacking. That's the mechanism in the human mind that they're using to make their things seem compelling. Is a trauma
Just
response.
shock value.
Yeah, it's a shock value trauma response, and so like Game of Thrones is whatever that R.R. Martin or whatever that faggot's name is. He does that. Like that's why his stuff is so dark and twisted, and there's so much like incest and like. First of all, he's just a twisted person, but he's a bad writer. Like the Game of Thrones books are poorly written. They're not good. And first of all, if you can't get through a fiction book, like if you're trying to read a book and you can't get through it, that's the writer's fault. That's not your fault. If you're watching a movie and you start looking at your phone, that's the writer and the director's fault. That's their responsibility to hold your attention. And I've never seen more people look at their phones than when we would, in college, I would sit with my boys and we would watch Game of Thrones every Sunday together.
Yeah.
Everybody looking at their phones because it sucks. It's not good. And then, this is like very common right now, too, to have disdain for your audience, to like hate the people you're writing stuff for. And so you like end stuff badly on purpose because you want to spite your viewers, like how they ended Game of Thrones, and it's just bad. It's whack. It's bad, and I'm tired of it. I'm exhausted by everything I see today. As far as like the quality of the writing within movies and stuff goes, it just bums me out, and I'm tired of it. And so I want people to be, I want people to have more. I want them to be stricter with their media. I want you to demand more from people. That's what I want. Don't
continue consuming this stuff.
Right. Turn it off.
Producing it.
Right. They
vote
will
with your eyes.
Yeah.
Just like you vote with your dollars. If you keep buying it, they'll keep making it.
Yeah. And like Marvel movies and all this stuff, like everybody hates all this stuff. Everybody complains about how bad everything. Turn it off.
Stop going to see it.
Stop going to see it. Turn it off. In the middle of the movie, go, yeah, I'm turning this off. I do it all the time. All the time I turn stuff off. Middle of the movie, just exit. This is retarded. I'm not finishing this. Just turn it off. And things will start getting better too. And so I want you guys to, and I want you to be able to evaluate objectively. Like if you're sitting there watching something and you like it, and you're like, and you realize that the movie is bad and sensational, I want you to turn it off anyways. There's a game called Baldur's Gate. You familiar with that, Jason?
Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, Baldur's Gate.
No.
Okay.
He says a game?
Yeah, it's a video game. It's a Dungeons and Dragons video game. Baldur's Gate 3 came out. I think it came out this year. It may have come out last year. I don't remember. But it was hailed. People loved Baldur's Gate. It's unplayable.
Okay.
It's unplayable. The game is awful.
Because of the narrative?
Yes. The narrative and the writing is so bad. First of all, it's not you play for 5 hours and you don't really even understand like
what you're doing.
yeah, what are we doing? Like what's happening here?
Is
Can
it
we
just
move
a
this
series
forward?
of objectives?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And the way this is one of the number one ways bad writers will compensate for their bad writing is by having the characters bicker like women all the time, just constantly arguing with each other about like any number of things.
Like Ice Road Truckers.
Yeah, sure, like Ice Road Truckers. Yeah. Yeah.
Any reality TV shows where, and that bothers me so much, where they
Yes.
take, it's like, oh, let's take a logging company and add a bunch of drama to it because it's not interesting enough how they succeed
Right.
and actually do their work on these mountains
Right. And
remotely.
on razor thin profit margins.
Right.
Right.
That's not interesting enough. Instead, we're gonna have them complain and moan and like backstab each other like a bunch of gossipy ladies,
Right.
talking behind each other's back with clearly badly written dialogue.
Yeah.
Anyway, reality TV is trash.
Yeah. And so if you have like
Don't watch it.
The Witcher TV show, that's one of the most awful pieces of media I think I've ever seen. And they just constantly have this like just interpersonal conflict
Yeah.
all the time, constantly.
So fabricated.
Yeah.
Conflict is a real thing, and I mean conflict is what moves and drives narrative.
Stories forward. Yeah.
But when you have a bunch of little almost side quests,
Right.
of all
They're just
pointless bickering
somebody's
that-
always mad at each other. And yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's like,
That's just hacking your attention.
right.
From,
And
it keeps you. Yeah. Anyway,
it's retard. It's retard stuff. It's gut brain, wooden forehead, gigantic thick skull, bird brained retard stuff. It's not good. That's like that's the stuff that holds the attention of like people of retards. I mean, that's just what it is. So it's really bad. Hate that. So if you see excessive sensational darkness in stuff, now there's an exception here. Tragedy is obviously poetic and can be Cormac McCarthy's stuff, Blood Meridian, No Country for Old Men. That stuff is like Shakespearean. It's good. It's beautiful.
or at least it tells you a tale anyway.
Yeah.
What about There Will Be Blood? Have you seen There Will Be Blood?
There Will Be Blood is great.
Okay.
Great.
I was like, because I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's not a nice movie.
No.
But I was extremely intrigued
Right.
by his character,
Yes.
and I thought it was a fantastic exploration of where greed and extreme and unrelenting selfishness will get you.
Right.
And it leads him to extreme wealth and the most extreme depths of depravity and depression
Yeah.
and anger. He's just angry and drives everyone away from him.
Yeah. I drink your milkshake.
I drank your milkshake.
When I have a very long straw, it reaches
Just
over,
way over.
and I drink
your milkshake.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's
So those are the exceptions. Those are
Yeah.
good writing that are tragic, that are dark, but it is not darkness for darkness's sake.
right. Yeah. And so there's excessive darkness and stuff. You need to turn that off. Vote with your dollars. Vote with your attention. Turn that off. Bickering, constant little female bickering. That is another warning sign that what you're watching is bad. So turn that off. And then the last little spot here that I'll talk about is character development. Okay, there's this word character development. Now, character development is important, obviously, but the term character development has been like beaten to death. And character development is one of the things that people who don't know what good writing is or how writing works, that's one of the terms they use when they want to talk about writing and sound like they know what writing, how writing. So character development wasn't good. The character development wasn't robust in this one. The character development was great. It was so deep. The character's so developed. Like you can turn that, whatever YouTube video you're watching that's like a review of a movie or whatever, if the guy keeps going on about character development, just turn it off. Character development is in a bad spot right now. So your stories are supposed to be grounded in the human experience. The way you develop characters, you are living in your own narrative, okay? And so the way that all the characters in your narrative, your family, your friends, whatever, the way that you develop and understand those people and learn from them is watching them react in real time to the situation at hand. That's how you get to know someone. You don't get to know someone by watching a flashback of like when they got beaten or molested or whatever as a kid, and now that's why they're a dark, twisted person today. Like that's again, it is bad writing to like bluntly.
Now you're not saying that flashbacks in and of themselves are a no-go. You're saying flashbacks in order to tell.
Flashbacks as like explication.
Okay.
Are not usually that good. You got to be real careful with flashbacks in general. I'm not a big fan of them. Not a big fan of them. I think that they can be done.
They have their place, but it's more used as a crutch.
Yeah, it's way more often used as a crutch, as a way to tell history of a person or whatever in a convenient, easy way. Whereas you have to trust that the viewer or the reader has the agency and capability to deduce what this person's like based off of their reactions, the character's reactions to situations.
Right.
You have to trust the reader.
As opposed to having a character that just reacts to a situation the way you want them to move the story forward.
Right. Or having it be like the way you find out that this character is an angry person is because they just tell you. He's angry. He's an angry person. You know, it's like that kind of stuff. Which is it's just not. It's not good. It's not good. So character development is whack, and you just in general, if somebody starts talking about character development, it's just time. It's time to let that person go. That person's got to move on. So don't trust people talking about character development, and character development in general is done really badly. So if you're watching, like the Witcher is another great example of that. They had like an entire season basically where like every episode is like flashbacks to how one of the characters like became a magic being, and it just like you get done with a whole season of a TV show, and the plot's moved like 30 minutes forward. It's just like we haven't gone anywhere.
So much time.
Yeah, you spent so much time telling me about how this ugly hoe became purple or whatever. It's just bad. So bad character development, whatever. You got to axe. You got to turn that off too. And so here's one of the things that you can look for when you know you're seeing something good. Okay, fiction. Good fiction, the characters that are really important in good fiction are they're not the good guys. The good guys are not the really important characters in good fiction. The most important characters in good fiction are the villains. Villains are way more important than the heroes. Heroes are villainy is a natural thing. It occurs naturally in the world. There will always be villains. Heroes are reactionary. They come out of the existence of evil. So the story there will be no hero to write about if there isn't a villain. So the story begins with villains. Everything starts with villains. I was telling Jason earlier, when I write, the stories that I write start with the villains. And some of the first things I write is like their monologues. And I always try my best to write like tremendously evil, large villains that are like extremely, I don't know. I don't even know like necessarily. They're just.
You want to give examples of movies?
Darth Vader.
Okay, Darth Vader.
Darth Vader is one of the greatest villains of all time,
as opposed to Luke Skywalker, who is kind of a bland.
Yeah, super easy to identify with. Also, like another thing is that you're going to identify with heroes easily because they're the main character in the story, and you're the main character in your own story. You fancy yourself a bit of a hero, or at least you should, and so it's going to be easy for you to identify with and imprint on the hero, and so you don't have to do much development for the hero. You don't have to make them epic or whatever. They can just be the hero. And it's important that they follow their hero's journey, and there's they descend into a valley and are redeemed and gain power and ultimately win.
And I'm sorry if I missed this, but it is also important to note that villains are more important because heroes rise up as a response to villains.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You did say that?
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Heroes rise up as a response to villains. Yes. There's no story without the villain. Examples. Good examples. Sauron is a great.
Yeah. The Fellowship responds to him.
Yeah.
So there's varying characters, but they all rise up and become heroic.
Yeah.
As a response to great evil.
Yeah.
A cartoon version, Cruella de Vil.
Yep.
Is a fantastic iconic villain.
Yep.
And it's two plain people, normies who stand up to her.
Yeah.
Roger, who's kind of a passive musician, easygoing guy.
Yeah.
Has a fantastic, very old Disney man moment of, even though he's very quiet and passive and kind of goofy.
Yeah.
He stands up to Cruella de Vil and says, no, we're not selling them. He's even scared about it.
Right.
But he does what's right. And he stands up to her and goes toe to toe. He's like, we're not selling them. Nope, not one, And she's screaming in his face, and he doesn't back down.
Right. Yeah, Cruella de Vil's a great one. The demon in Paralandra.
Okay.
That's a villain right there, bro.
Yeah.
That's a villain. That villain is terrifying. The demon in Paralandra is amazing. The Ice Queen in Narnia, great villain.
Oh yeah. The White Witch.
The White Witch. Yep. The White Witch, great villain. Who else? What other?
What's interesting about her is you learn more about her origins later in the books.
Right.
The very first book, you don't know anything about her past, really.
Right. Yeah.
And so she's even developed further on in the series. You learn her background.
Yeah. Who else is a good? I'm trying to think of a good like fantasy villain. I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, so those are good villains. What makes a good villain? A good villain has to be epic, I think. They have to be like awe-inspiring. They have to inspire wonder. They need to be pretty mysterious. Their motivations are extremely important.
They have to be believable.
Yep. They have to be believable. I think one thing that's really important is their motivations. That's another thing that people need to pay attention to, is the motivations of the villain. If you don't have a villain with like really, you can really inspire awe and wonder and a sense of dread with a good motivation. I have the motivations of I always write them down.
Okay.
When I'm writing villains. So this is one of the ones that I wrote. That there would be a single drop of water or blade of grass not ordered according to his will is an affront to his very being.
A little power hungry.
Bit
of a control freak.
Yeah. And there's another
micromanager.
Yeah, there's another one that I'm writing that has his motivation is that he feels quite powerless. And so he wants to let's see if I can find it here. Is it going to be in here anywhere?
While you're looking for that, I was part of a Shakespeare play. I had a very bit part in Midsummer Night's Dream. I played Starveling the Tailor, and the director gave me an award for having the best character background writing. We were all supposed to write a background for our characters.
Yeah.
And none of that stuff ever came out, but I wrote a description of who he was and why he was the way he was.
Yeah.
like down to like he had long, thin fingers for his work as a tailor and this and that. So it was detailed, and I knew who the character was, and so that none of that was spelled out. You know, he has like 2 lines in the whole play, right?
Yeah.
But the point was that I knew who he was and what he was like. It wasn't spoken overtly in the play. It wasn't announced. This is Starveling, and he's this way because of yada yada yada. And there's background there's no background work done on him in the play.
Yeah.
But it's just knowing who your characters are before you start writing the story for them.
Yeah.
And then once they're in the story, and I haven't done much writing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine once your characters are thoroughly developed off screen, as it were,
Yeah.
then you just consult their background as to how they react to what's happening in the storyline, and they drive the story forward that way.
Yeah.
Would you say that's accurate, or?
Yeah. I think that's I think you kind of want it to happen. You are right. This is going to sound I'm splitting hairs, so I want you to know that you are right.
I'm not a writer, and so
you kind of want almost to be the character in the moment,
right?
And so that their reaction happens naturally.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
but yes,
you know who they are,
right,
and how they would react. So if I was in this situation, I don't react like Jason. I react like Robert, the whatever,
yeah.
And how would he respond to this? What would his dialogue be?
Right.
What are his mannerisms? And while it's not spoken, it's like, well, so-and-so uses these sorts of expressions and this sort of accent. You know, it's just written that way.
Yes. Yeah. So the this other villain that I have is I don't have his. I can't find it, but I found his. I gotta go through. I gotta reorganize my notes, dude. But I found one of his little tiny monologues that has his goal, like what he's trying to do. And so he says, I will have it. I will take, or he's talking to the main character, and he says, I do not wish to destroy you. I wish to change you. I wish to give you immortality. And the main character says, you have no authority to decide who lives and dies. You have no right to make the human race one of immortals. And he says, I will have it. I will take it from the clutches of the weak. I'll take the authority. I'll take it from the clutches of the weak. I will suspend my brother's bride in the undeath of privation. I will take my immortal revenge on this Dar, this maker. When he finally arrives, he will find the wretched half-corpse of his beloved creation and weep. The wrath of my vengeance will persist forever and ever, and all will see my power and know that I have taken the joy of God. So he's like, he feels powerless, and so his thing that he's going to do is ruin everything on purpose. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna, like, his motivations are that it's kind of it is a long story, but he is trying to make humans immortal so that they can't die, and then basically like starve them all. And so there's just wretched things that are just...
he wants to make them immortal so they can suffer immortally?
Right, so they can suffer immortally.
Good grief.
And then when God shows up, when God comes back to like see his creation and reap his harvest and bring... Right,
it'll be ruined.
Everything's ruined and destroyed.
Mm.
And so, and there's just there's nothing he can do. And so it's just like, I've taken the joy. Like I hate reality so much that I hate it so much. I don't even want to destroy it. I just want to watch it suffer.
Yeah.
Like, and so a villain's motivations need to be that epic. They need to be these broad sweeping, like, deep issues.
What do you think of the Joker in The Dark Knight?
Oh,
the man who just likes to watch the world burn.
Yes.
Whereas he doesn't seem to have a motivation other than...
I mean, I think that's a perfect motivation.
Okay.
And I think he does have a motivation in that he wants to point out kind of the hypocrisy.
I should say he doesn't have nothing you can leverage to defeat him.
Right. Which makes him terrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
You can only defeat him by killing him.
Right. And I almost think it's tragic in the movie that they don't have one of the boats blow up. That nobody blows a boat up. I think that they should have had a boat blow up.
A boat blow up.
Yeah, you remember at the end of the movie when he's got a bomb on either boat.
I thought didn't he have two different people strapped to bombs?
Well, he strapped a bunch of people to bombs, but at
Yeah.
the end, like the last thing that he does is he's like trying to prove that people at their base layer are these like feral, evil, selfish things, and so he's got one boat full of prisoners and one boat full of normal people, and they both have bombs on them, and then they both have the device to remember that?
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
And they chose not.
And
neither one of them
the
blew each
prisoners
other up.
throw theirs out the window, and then the people on the other boat choose not to blow up they just choose not to do it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the other thing where what's her name? The love interest dies because he's not able to.
Yes.
He chooses Harvey.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't he choose Harvey Dent?
I think he chooses Rachel, but the Joker tells him the opposite address.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how it happens.
I can't remember. It's been too long. But
Yeah.
anyway, I just remember that she died.
Yeah. I mean, the Joker's a really good one. At least the Christopher Nolan Joker's a really good one, which is funny because Christopher Nolan's not that good of a director. Who else?
That's a shot fired.
Yeah, he's just not that good, dude. His movies are just not that good. Tenet was all right, but it was really. That's one of those ones where there's like, the villain is. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to say that because there's way more interesting things. So Sam Hyde, that the guy I like a lot. He's talked about how he's trying to write a game right now. And one of the things that he wants to do is come up with a motivation that's just so foreign to humanity, like the human condition, that it's terrifying because it's just like
Right. Nobody would be motivated by this.
yeah, like it's just like like there's some like the villains are they're not human, they're like something else, terrestrial or extraterrestrial or something like that.
Okay.
And their motivation is so the reference he makes is that there's this fiction book, and I don't know what it's called. Maybe I should look it up or whatever and edit it in. But the book basically there's this star or something like that, like a machine at the center of the universe or something, and it just every like a million years or something, it just wipes all of existence out and just restarts. And
it's Halo-like.
Yeah. But it's not sentient. It's just a machine.
Okay.
And so it's
just on timer.
It's just gonna happen, and there's no like reasoning with it. And the main character is like, the book is him he's like on the machine trying to figure out how to turn it off, and he doesn't. And so he just like basically like his solution is that he just like writes these notes so that like at some point the next civilization that comes across this thing can pick up where he left off.
Right. He's making progress.
Yeah.
Well, that the villains in Ender's Game, to revisit Ender's Game.
Oh
bit,
yeah.
are terrifying to humanity because they are alien and they have no ability to communicate with mankind initially.
Yeah.
They communicate with each other versus via telepathy. So mankind tried every way they could to communicate with the oncoming ships.
Yeah.
And then just was like, well, we have to fight them because we don't know if they're hostile or not. They're not responding. They took it as hostility.
Yeah.
And in the end, Ender, it was like, oh, he realizes that they weren't necessarily evil. They were just so foreign.
Yeah.
They are just hive creatures.
Yeah.
They're not individuals like mankind is. And so they would dismantle the ships and kill the crew, probably viewing it just like they are.
Right.
Just like we view everything else with our motivations.
Yeah.
And if we can't understand it, it's foreign and scary and terrifying. So
yeah.
Let's bring this around to how do we view art and narrative in a Christian worldview?
Yeah.
In light of the hope that the gospel gives us, how should we write?
Yeah.
I thought some time ago that Christians ought to be the very best in every sector.
Yeah.
In art, in science, in politics, in governance, in farming, in taking care of the earth. We ought to be, because God has given us dominion over these things, we ought to be the very best and strive to do our best for God, not selfishly what what is best for our generation, but what is best for mankind at large, to God's glory. God did everything beautifully, and as creatures who are made in His image, we are also supposed to create things that are beautiful, in mimicry of Him, in a reflection of God's beauty and creative diversity. We should also be seeking to do something similar in our little ways, in writing movies, in writing books, and in caring for things. We ought to be doing these things as much like God as we can. So I think inherently Christians have the ability that non-Christians do not, of having hope in their stories, that is why good does triumph over evil in the end, even though good takes a battering a lot of times. That's why the hero, like Luke Skywalker, gets his hand cut off. He's in a bad way. He barely escapes with his life in fighting this seemingly indomitable Darth Vader. But there's hope in it. The movie's even called A New Hope.
Yeah.
And this is why you shouldn't have perpetual darkness as the main theme of your story, because that reveals the worldview of its creators. If there is no hope, you are essentially saying there is no hope for mankind. If your stories don't reflect hope in some way, you are at core hopeless, and you're depressed about the state of things, and that is what you see, and that is what you write out of.
Yeah. Our duty as creators, little creators ourselves, when you are writing, when you are doing your work, whatever, if you want to elevate the thing that you are doing to art, which is the opposite of what most people make today, even the like avant-garde quote unquote artists, they are playing in the mud, playing with poop. They are not doing art. They are spitting in the face of God.
Grotesque reveling in muck.
Yeah, muck.
Like that
and the
video
worst
you
parts,
showed me. Was it an Instagram post?
Yeah. That guy that puts clay on his face and
just clay and like sucks through it and makes grotesque noises and
odd movements,
odd demonic, witchy movements and clawing across the wall.
Yeah, it's the glorification of the ugly.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. And what you are doing, what you should be doing, is you are reaching out, you are clawing out of the ether, out of nothing, out of the unknown. You are pulling goodness, truth, and beauty into the human experience. You are paying with each keystroke, with each pin mark, with everything you are doing. If you are trying to elevate your thing to art, what you are doing is paying homage to God. That is what you are doing. That is art. That is art. Bringing in the light and beauty of the unknown world that is outside of the material human reach, capturing it and giving it to people in a way that they can enjoy and revel in and be edified by. That is art. That is what we should be doing. That is what you should be aiming at. People should. It is not art. It is not art. When you turn the movie off and you feel bad, that's not art. That's not good. You should have a sense of justice. You should have a sense. You can maybe if you feel solemn after watching.
I was gonna say There Will Be Blood.
Yeah,
you feel
solemn,
very solemn.
Yeah, you
contemplative.
You might. Yeah,
I was for a while just thinking and analyzing it. Why was this fascinating?
Right.
And what am I going to get out of this?
Right.
What can I learn from it? And what I took away from it was, this is hopelessness.
Yeah.
That man put all of his stock, that character in There Will Be Blood, put all of his stock in money and finite things. It's like the parable of the man who, built up his barns even bigger to store all of his stuff and keep it to himself. And the Lord said, "You fool. You don't know that your life is required of you tonight."
Right.
It's all for naught.
Right. Yeah.
It's vanity. All is vanity.
Even with There Will Be Blood or any of the Shakespearean tragedies or anything like that, the implication there is that there is still hope, because the implication is that the main character from There Will Be Blood, is unique in his greed. He is special in his greed. He is uniquely greedy. Mm-hmm. The things he gives up, like it is a warning.
I was going to say, it is a warning sign. Those characters are so well written and portrayed as to be a U-turn sign.
Right, exactly. And you're right.
This is where it leads, guys.
The implication of a warning is that you can not do it.
Correct.
So there is tremendous hope. And that's why you may walk away from something like that feeling solemn, but you don't feel hopeless.
Sober, because you're like, oh, I'm greedy sometimes.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to end up like that guy.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to end up like that guy. But it's extremely redeeming, and you feel redeemed after watching it. It feels edifying. It feels uplifting.
Hopefully you go out and do something selfless.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even tragedy, when it is art, it is still pointing towards God. That is what all art should do, is point towards God, point towards the orientation that he wants to see for creation. That's what it's for. And it's, if you are not doing that, what you are doing is glorifying the ugly. You are elevating the ugly. You are elevating the satanic and the flesh, the nastiness, the grittiness of life. It doesn't need to be elevated. It just doesn't need to be elevated and or depicted. It should not be depicted, and it's not art. It's bad, and you should just turn it off when you see it. So that's it. That's my spiel on art.
All right, good spiel.
Yeah. All right, guys. Please be mindful of where you put your attention. For my sake, please, I'm tired of seeing bad stuff made all the time. For my sake, for me, please stop watching bad stuff so that they'll be forced to make good stuff. We love you guys. Hopefully Hyper Premium will be making some good stuff soon. We will see you next week. Please go to church. Find a young woman, marry her.
And have some babies.
Raise them correctly. We love you guys. We were praying for you. Hyper Premium or work hard at hyperpremium.co is where you can reach out to us if you have questions, comments, concerns. You can follow me on Twitter at Unlimited Harm. You'll probably be able to follow Jason on the socials at some point soon.
Yep, starting in the new year.
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at Hyper Premium Mag. That is where we will be. That is where you will be able to contact us. Please give us some questions, concerns, whatever. We love you guys.
Give us some feedback.
Yeah, we love you.
Share it around if you like it.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.